but we're going to talk about Saw 10 and how bad it was. So basically, yesterday and the day before yesterday, because it was so annoying, I had to stop and I had to like go to sleep. And then I had to continue. Saw 10 was very bad. And I haven't really done a lot of Saw videos on this channel. I've done from the Book of Saw because I can't stand Chris Rock, and I can't believe y'all let Chris Rock make that movie. And just because Samuel L. Jackson was in it playing his father, y'all let him live. Y'all let him live. Y'all are going to be, for months on end, I'm never going to hear the end about how bad Madam Web was. But y'all, the Book of Saw came and went, and no one is dragging the crap out that crap. If you want to know my opinion about that, literally go watch my video about it. Because we're not going to talk about the Book of Saw. We're going to talk about Saw 10. And I really don't understand when they do prequels with people who we know are alive and well after the fact. It's one thing if it's like ambiguous and we don't know or whatnot, but it's like really strange to have this surround John Kramer and make him very sympathetic. Okay. The whole Saw franchise and I have a love-hate relationship, if you would say, because as a kid I just was not interested in the Saw movies. I was like, get that away from me. I wasn't afraid of Freddy Krueger. I wasn't afraid of Michael Myers. I wasn't afraid of Jason. I wasn't afraid of like none of that. I could not watch any of the Saw movies. They were too gory and too bloody, even though I love Resident Evil and Mortal Kombat. It's very strange, but I guess it's like you can choose your own fate. In even Silent Hill, you've got weapons to fend against creatures. But in Saw, it's kind of like you up a creek. It's like you don't want to do any of those things and you shouldn't have to do any of those things. Like, okay, I have to give a little context for people who don't know what Saw is. Saw started out with this dude who had cancer. And it was very anti-capitalism, anti society situation that is horrible. Like, he got cancer, right? He tried to get help. And then his insurance wouldn't cover the cancer treatment or whatever because, oh, new plot twist, he got like dental work done that he it wouldn't cover it because they're saying, oh well, that caused your cancer and you did that on your own, so oh well, you up a creek. It gives him it gives like there's a lot of stuff. There's like 10, there's more than 10 Saw movies. There's more than 10 Saw movies that you have to watch to understand everything. I'm just giving you a gloss over because even in the first one, you know nothing about this fool. You know almost nothing about this fool. You know almost nothing about this fool. Two, you kind of know more about him, but it's like, three, you know a little more about him. Four, you know a lot more about him. Five, you know more about him already. Six, seven, eight, nine, 10, Book of Saw, all that mixed together. You got to watch them all to understand it. It's very, I'm so sorry. But John Kramer is the guy who has cancer, and the insurance company is very slimy, and everybody around him is just like, oh well. And he has a wife who does not look like his peer. Looks like John Kramer needs to look for he needs to look for someone his own age. Like Jill Tuck is his ex-wife because they got a divorce after she worked at, there's just too many things. There's too many things. Like I talked to you about this and it's very hard to rear back into what I'm talking about, but I have to give you this context. Jill Tuck was pregnant. All this happened, mind you. Mind you, all this has supposed to happen within a couple of, I don't know how long, but it's super crazy. It's super crazy. This dude is also he's like an architect or whatever. So he can build stuff. But just because you can build stuff don't mean you can build it. Like there are architects and then there are the builders. It's funny how he both, and he like in his 90s. But I digress. when I will give him grace, when the movie franchise started, he was not in his 90s. He was, I would give him a very strong early to mid 60s. Jill Tuck still looks like she's in her 40s or maybe early 50s, maybe. But she was pregnant with their son, and his name was Gideon. They already named him. They had a doll for him. And for those who know about the Saw franchise, that's the doll with the little swirlies on his cheeks. That's the doll they were going to give their son when he was born. The one that they use, I say they because it's kind of more like a Breaking Bad where what's her face? Skylar. Just think of Jill Tuck if Skylar did what y'all wanted her to do and just dealt with everything, and she still died for it. She still died for it. But guess who lived? Guess who lived and got to live their life? The one that you hate. But Jill basically, she didn't accept his crap that he did, but it's funny because he did it. It's very kind of fine line. Like they don't do enough characterization of Jill Tuck for me to even discuss what she would have done or what she did or how she felt. Because even though she's there, she's like not even a main character. She's not even a main character. But she works at this place for recovering drug addicts, and like there's another thing to this too. She's about to give birth, and she still has to work because her job isn't like all of this is anti-capitalism. If we break this down bit by bit, it's anti-capitalism. But we lost our way. We lost our way. Okay, we lost our way. And this guy named Cecil busts in and steals the stuff. He's got a drug addiction. He's horrible. Got a girlfriend also named Amanda. That'll be interesting. That'll be it's a little tiny tidbit that you got to remember. Amanda is here, and she's his girlfriend, and she's not here right now, but she's like in the car or something ridiculous. I don't know where she was. It's all a blur. All right, it's all a blur. And she lives, but the baby dies. Cecil's the one to blame because he was trying to get his fix and he jumped in when they were closing, even though she should have been home. Even though like women should be able to work and still have money. Because it's funny how guys need more money because they've got a family at home, but when a woman needs to go home for like what's it called? You know that thing, leave of absence for pregnancy. You know what it's called. It's like, oh, we can't do nothing. Oh, you lazy. Oh, you just want to do this and that. But she literally had her son killed because she's working high risk while pregnant. She should be on maternity leave. But you guys decide to give maternity leave to men when it's like, okay, let's give it to men. But it's funny, Jill didn't get it. Jill didn't get it, and her son died. But it's okay. That's what it is. So John Kramer plus all that, and then he gets into a car accident. This is all happening. Like I said, this is all happening within the span of how many ever years John Kramer and all that happened. Literally, he gets into a car accident and he has to like take something out of his stomach or whatever, and he's like, "Oh, I lived." Don't know how he lived, mind you. Don't At this point, he doesn't know a doctor on call because he gets to know a doctor on call. I'm going to go from the very beginning to what I can get to. Saw 10 is not Saw 10. Saw 10 is a prequel sequel. In my opinion, I think it's between 1 and 2. I think. I can only think that. I can only think that. Because in 1, Amanda had long hair. I think. There's been so many movies, it doesn't even matter anymore. But he got into a car accident, and John Kramer's like, "Oh my goodness, I feel like life has been lifted in me. Like, oh my gosh." Like, so what he does is he's like, "I'm going to test people in their life so that they can appreciate life more, because he didn't appreciate life. And I don't remember if he got in a car accident because he wanted to die and he was trying to kill himself. I think that's what it was, but I don't remember. Or he just got into a car accident and then he had to save his life and da da da. And it's like, how do you save your life by taking something out of the wound that's bleeding? It doesn't matter. You're not supposed to, you don't like the first Saw movie was brilliant, okay? Very brilliant, very minimal. No CGI. Everything was not like there was no CGI. It was just what it is. And maybe there wasn't. Maybe there was. Maybe there was CGI, but I don't think there was. I think CGI came around like 3 and 4. I don't even think 2 had CGI, but I don't remember. Like I said. So Saw starts with John and Jill happy. And they were happy, which I don't think they were happy, because a man like John Kramer, the way he is, that man's not happy. That man's not a happy person. She married a psychopath. And like I said, this is when I'm with him. So after he saves his own life, so this is stuff that takes place in one. It goes back and forth, by the way. Mind you, every single Saw movie goes back in time, back and forth, Pulp Fiction style, except at least Pulp Fiction, you stayed with one group and then you went to another group. And then maybe they intertwined, maybe later. This, you go forward, you go back, you go upside down, you go sideways, you go every which way. And they don't explain nothing to you. You don't know when things are happening until the end. And that was cool for 2. That was cool for 2, because 1, at least it was back in time, forward in time. 2, time was irrelevant because they were like, it's so crazy. I think 1 and 2, you watch 1 and 2, you good. You good. That's it. That was a good ending to Saw. 3 and on makes me want to vomit. There's no reason that should have continued at all. But I do like that somebody does come back. So, like I said, John was kind of suicidal because he had brain cancer, and there was a mistake they keep adding crap. They keep adding crap. There was no mistake in the beginning. It was just he had cancer and that was it. And then later on, they do it to where, there was a doctor that switched his file, so if they caught it, he could have survived. And that's like Saw later. That's later Saw. That's way later Saw. They keep adding stuff. And it's super annoying because it's like I said, 1 and 2 were brilliant. 1 and 2 were brilliant. 3 is when I could not watch it anymore. It was too gory. For someone who likes Silent Hill, Resident Evil, and Mortal Kombat, it was too gory for me. Unnecessarily too gory. The story started getting crazy at 4, 5, 6, 7, all that. All that. What is happening? So whatever. Okay. I'm going to have to continue this quickly because I have yet to talk about Saw 10. John Kramer is a psychopath. But this is the time where I'm okay with it. So he gets Cecil and then he tests him. And he's got these things on his face. Saw is basically about a dude who likes to use traps that are like games. And he says that they have a way to survive, but you have to like gouge your eyes out or cut your leg off or cut your arm off or do something. When funny enough, John Kramer didn't cut his arm off. He didn't cut his leg off. He just had something in his stomach and he took it out. And then somehow he lives. When in IRL, that would not be what happens. You're supposed to keep something in. If you're penetrated by something, you're supposed to keep it until you get to the doctor, because unless you got a tourniquet and it's just like, okay, maybe he made a tourniquet of his thing and da 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 da. He ain't no doctor. He is a civilian that he claims, and I'm going to keep saying this. And the funniest thing is, the hilarious thing is, everything that is funny is what happens at the end of 10 that makes everything crazy. Because you wondering, how can he afford all these cranks, all these saws, all these blades, all this super high function stuff? And then later on, how can anyone else afford it? Because all these people are bum scums who do not have a lot of money. You've got a doctor who may have a lot of money, lost his family. I bet you anything he lost his family at this point. The dude that's a police officer, I know you ain't getting paid a lot. Like, you are a gumshoe. It's not like you handling high function. The only reason why you are handling this case is because you wormed your way onto this case. And I'm not even saying names yet, because like if I say names, y'all are gonna get like, what's going on? What you talk about? I have to give you this context in order to talk about Saw 10. So John Kramer gets Cecil. He has him sitting in a chair, and he's like, basically, you got to push your face through this thing, which has nothing to do with how he killed his son. Put this thing on his thing, and he got to push it through, cut his whole face off so he can get out the thing and survive. It's like pain to survive. That's basically what John's thing is. And he did that to the man who killed his son, to his wife, who should have been on maternity leave. But like I said, Saw is basically anti-capitalist. It's anti-capitalist because she should have been home on maternity leave, but no one's going to give you maternity leave because they want you working until you die. No matter what. And then they punish women for having children, and then they reward men for having families. But I digress. Let's get back. So he does that. Cecil survives his game. He survives his game, mind you. And then he tries to attack John Kramer. And like I said, this man was a very sharp, middle-aged 60. He was a middle-aged 60. Now, when you're going back in time, forward, back, and like, mind you, there's like 2 years in between each movie, or 1 to 2 years, or more. So this man's aging, and they're using the same dude, Tobin Bell. He's cool. I don't know a lot about him. All I know is he's Jigsaw, and he sound cool, and he cool sometimes. He look like he cool. I don't know, but literally, Cecil survives his game. He tries to kill John, and he literally steps out of the way. And mind you, this isn't even 1. I don't think this is even 2 or 3. I think this happens in 4. It tells what happened with Cecil. I can't remember what happened. I can't remember when it was. I can't remember. I don't think it was 2. I don't think it was 2. I don't think it was 2. But literally, Cecil survives his game, and then he tries to kill John. And it's funny how he gets to not kill people. I'm going to call it not killing, because he loves to talk about how he doesn't kill somebody. When you put somebody in a thing, this is like, if they don't survive, it's like, oh, it's on them. It's on them. I'm only human after all. Like, that's what happens. He literally sitting there talking about he ain't doing nothing when he the one put him in there. You did it, but whatever. Like, that's the same mentality the people have above you that let you have cancer and not help you. Like, he turns into the person he hates. And that's why I think it's so brilliant, because it's like, I was here with him when he was killing the guy who killed his son, his unborn son. He killed him, right? And then he's going to talk about, well, he didn't follow the rules. The rules are you can't try to attack the man that attacked you. That's not a part of the rules. The rules are, every time someone tries to kill him, they end up dying, or the people around him end up dying, which is, how is that fair? You the one that did this. You could have minded your own goddamn business, John Kramer. But you decided to grab people in the night somehow. He like grabs him in the night, or grabs him wherever, has people in his group. And it's funny because, like I said, mind you, he's by himself right now. Like, at first, Jill Tuck, his ex-wife, was playing Skylar from Breaking Bad. She was like, I ain't doing this. What are you doing? I'm not doing this. We divorced now. And it, like I said, there's so many movies that retcon and do this, that, and the other. It's kind of hard to say whether she supported him or not, because later down the line, she does. She does later down the line. But literally, she pulled a Skylar, and she's like, I ain't doing this. And if that's the case, how do you have people helping you? You are in your 60s, mid 60s. If some guy mid 60s, no, you are going down, son. These people who are well in their 20s and 30s, like prime, ready to fight, square up, they are getting knocked out by this old geezer. It's crazy. Every time you see it, it's like impossible to not laugh. But when he starts getting disciples, because he does get disciples, and it would have been nice to get like 12 people to like in universe to have like 12 people, and just like they actually made that, and it was just like really cool, and it was like Saw 12 or something like that. But like that's as crazy as like this. The reason why it sounds crazy because it is crazy. Like that's not too far fetched for them to do. They've already done crazy crap. So the first movie, like it's really hard. Like I have to tell you about the first movie before I get into Saw 10. It's going to be very quick, so you have to like keep up with me. It's going to be very quick because I need to get to Saw 10. After that happened with Cecil and all that, and then Amanda is the girl who was his girlfriend, and she literally was false. Like in two there was a cop that falsified stuff to where she had drugs on her and it wasn't hers, so she got hooked in jail. Like I said, anti-capitalism. It's anti-jail, it's anti-capitalism, it's anti-insurance companies who like to be horrible. Like, you want to know more about how bad insurance companies are? Watch The Incredibles. That movie will tell you about how bad insurance companies are. In the first 10 maybe 10 to 30 minutes in, it will tell you. That is so funny. I just saw someone talk about The Incredibles on Twitter. But we gonna wrap that up, and we're gonna bring it back to here. Saw 1. Dr. Gordon is on the floor of a dirty bathroom next to a guy who he does not know. That guy, can't remember his name for nothing. Let me see if it's here in my notes. Let's see. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what his name is. It really doesn't matter what his name is. And there's another thing. There's a lot that goes into Saw. There's a lot that, like, there's tap, there's a lot. But I'm only going to give you enough to where Saw 10 will intertwine. You got to go and watch it. You just have to. Dude across the room from him is a guy who John Kramer, I do believe he hired him to take pictures of people, because he takes pictures of people and then sells them to whoever wants it. Like, oh, I saw him doing a bribe. Do you want this money? I mean, do you want this for money? And he's the one that's in the bathroom. So he has to, Dr. Gordon is connected to Saw because he was a part of the whole situation where he was like, can't do nothing about it. Sorry. Da 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 da. You be out your way. You're going to die anyway. The guy who takes pictures of people took pictures of the people who John was going to put in traps. And mind you, all while this is happening, there's another trap going on. Every time you see someone in a trap, there's another trap. Like, it's very convoluted. It's very like, how does he have all this time to do it? And then they try to, in the first one, they try to like, okay, Saw hired another dude who has Dr. Gordon's wife and kid somewhere. So if he doesn't do it, they're going to die. He has to kill the guy who took pictures, which is funny because John like hired him to take pictures. So he's like no better, but he loves to sit there and be like moral high ground. Like I said, I was here when he was killing the person who killed his unborn son, even though that was not his goal. His goal was not to come in there and kill that child, that unborn child. His goal was to get drugs. And it's just like, okay, cool. You're going to, that's how you're going to stop people from doing drugs, which is funny because he does that with Amanda. He tests Amanda about 6 times in this whole entire thing, this whole entire shindig. She keeps getting put back into traps, which is not fair. And I am counting the video games as canon. I am. So about 6 or 7. But long story short, old dude has to kill dude that took pictures. And he doesn't. He pretends, they pretend, and then they get electrocuted. That's his thing. He likes to electrocute people when they don't do what they're supposed to do. And John's not even watching this. You know what he's doing? He's sitting spread eagle floor, like duck floor to the ground in blood in the middle of the room. And nobody thinks that this man's breathing. Somehow he doesn't sound like he's breathing. They don't even check to see if he is. He's got prosthetics and stuff on his face to look like he's dead or his head's been smashed in. And at the end, he gets up and he just like downward facing dog gets up and talks about game over. Leaves that dude with the guy who was taking pictures in there because he is yet to get killed. Gordon, he broke his leg and he broke his foot so that he could get out, and he crawled out, and that was the best ending. It was like, Like there's this song that plays at the end when everything's like coming together. It's like dun dun dun. Dun, 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 dun. I think it's Zepp's End or something, or Zepp's Game. I don't know what it's called. It's Zepp something. And that song was very appropriate for the end of Saw 10. Like, I cannot go any further before I have to talk about Saw 10. So Saw 10 basically has Saw, okay, there's nothing we can do for you. You're going to have cancer. You're going to die. So he's at this cancer place where everyone is like Cancer Anonymous. Never seen this in a movie before, but hey, I didn't know that exists. I guess it's a cancer support group that look like AA. I'm just gonna let you know that right now. Everyone's in a circle. It's like, hi, John, da da da, welcome back. He's been doing this for a while. He's just trying to he's like, okay, I'm gonna die, da 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 da. It's a little ridiculous because how are you gonna try to humanize this guy? This whole movie is about humanizing John Kramer. And if you've seen my video on Orphan First Kill, that was also a prequel that tried to humanize Esther. And I'm like, that doesn't work when, first of all, we already know this person's dead. Plot twist. Spoiler, I warned y'all before. John Kramer eventually dies. He dies technically in I think 3 or 4. And then they keep making movies that are prequels or something in between or after, and it's his predecessors that are actually not, because they don't give people a chance to live when you could have given them a chance to live by not putting them in traps. How about them apples, John Kramer? But anywho, 10, like I said, starts with him at the Cancer Anonymous. And there's this black guy talking about, hey, how you doing, and John? And it's like, oh, how you doing? Like, he's sitting there like a normal person. You are not normal. You kill people. You are not normal. But we're supposed to sit here and just watch him talk normal to this guy. He's like, hey, how you doing? And then he says, there's just some things that they say that it's just like, haha, like, oh, little do you know, this man's a creep. This man's gross. And he puts people's lives in his own hands and then says that he does not have their life in his hands. But like, he's talking to this guy and he's like, oh, I'm telling you about this thing that happened, and he shows him a scar on his stomach. He's like, oh, they helped me, and it's a mixture of drugs. So first of all, it's a mixture of drugs and surgery. We never see John take the drugs, but he listens to him and he's like, oh, this is it's whatever, I'm gonna look at you up. And it's this woman, of course, it's this woman who's scamming, and she's like, oh, my father is so good, and I am just as good as my father, and you could too be good as my father. Like, she literally just says, okay, I'm gonna help y'all with your cancer. And they talk about this the same thing. It's like, okay, drugs and a mixture of this, and it's in Mexico or something crazy. So mind you, it's a white woman, and it's a bunch of guys there's this guy who drives him to the place, and then he has to cover his eyes and go into like a van to get there to do all this stuff. And it's just a group of people who are connected to all this. And it's just a big scam for people. They give them hope. And I personally thought it was like a placebo effect, but like I said, just like in Orphan First Kill, this movie has this same problem as Orphan First Kill. It makes zero logical sense why it's like they watched Orphan First Kill and was like, yeah, let's do that with Saw. And if you see my video, you can go watch it whenever you feel like it. It's in my Thoughts of Mine, if I'm not mistaken, playlist. Or you can type mdragon12 in the search engine and do Orphan. And I haven't talked about Orphan 1, even though I really love Orphan 1. Like, the first movie of stuff, sometimes usually really good. Like, Saw 1, like I said, Saw 1, Saw 2, pretty good. Saw 3, people love to talk about how Saw 3 is so good when it's not. It's literally not. It's really terrible. But it is what it is. So he does it. He thinks that he's getting his head worked on, and turns out they didn't do nothing to him. So he's like, "Oh yeah, it's on, buddy." So he grabs the guy that drove him there, and that was the first. I think that was the first person that he put in a trap. He was like, "Oh, da 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 da. All you gotta do is," I think his eyes were sucked out because he was supposed to like break all his fingers or have his eyes sucked out, and he had his eyes sucked out because he couldn't do it. There's a lot of people almost doing stuff and then not being able to finish. And it's just like, if you saw through half of your leg, no way you can't sit there and do the rest. No, you already started. You already started. Why are you doing this? You just went through, you might as well have said, just kill me now, bro. Like, why'd you go through all that? That happens a lot in the Saw franchise. So I'm not surprised about that. I like I said, there's a lot of things that this convoluted. It's more of a funny. It's like unintentionally funny. I know they do not mean for Saw to be this funny. It is so hilarious. We're supposed to take this man seriously. We're supposed to watch this whole movie from beginning to end and think this guy is so like I jokingly say, "Oh my goodness, he had a point," but he kind of did have a point because, like I said, anti-capitalism, anti the situation, anti the whole like burn down the whole thing. Because, like I said, had Jill had been on maternity leave, she would not have been put in that situation, high risk place. But no, she didn't get no maternity leave because she didn't get paid to be sitting home because they think she's lazy because she's got a baby. But whatever. Had John Kramer been able to get all this stuff, he wouldn't have went crazy and like started killing people for being suicidal when he's the one that was suicidal too. Ain't nobody tell him to grab people and snatch them up. So I don't know why he blaming everybody in the sun. Yeah, for real, they never saw rhythm like this is making sense. Yeah, it's just like what? It's just like we every Saw you're supposed to think that Saw the John Kramer is the villain. Like at best anti-hero. I don't know. Like at best anti-hero. But this man is a whole protagonist in Saw 10. Like I said, so he grabs each person that was in this scam because he sees under his head what did they think was going to happen when he took his bandages off. His hair was still there, meaning they didn't even shave it. You're supposed to shave it when you do surgery. You're supposed to shave it and clean it when you do surgery. And he he had his hair still. So he's like, oh, and it's just like crazy because, like I said, this happens between 1 and 2. You can't do nothing that'll change anything. You can't do nothing. You can't cut his head. You can't cut anything because he didn't have no cuts like that in the next movie. Why did they do this movie? You can't do anything to a character that you already know that didn't happen to them later. So Amanda's safe and John Kramer's safe. And also, I think it's cool that she came back to reprise her role, even though she looks 30 years older. Just like John Kramer looks 30 years older. Everyone looks 30 years older because this show, this whole hoopla has been a thing since like the 2000s, since the early 2000s. It's 2024. Like I think 2023 is when Saw 10 came out. I don't remember. All I know is it's been 20 years. They all look 20 years older. All of them. So that's crazy. And also another thing, a lot of people were upset that What's His Face was not in the movie. I personally don't like him. I don't like Hoffman. I didn't like Hoffman's introduction. I thought his introduction didn't make no sense. The way he came in, like if you want to know who Hoffman is, you gotta watch the movies. You gotta watch the movies because I can't be talking about that because he wasn't in this movie. I'm talking about 10. So he gets them together. And then it's crazy because he's sitting down with everybody, usually just in the first one. And when he did Cecil, which was in the beginning of his Saw career, which I guess you could say this is a part of his beginning of his Saw career, but it's just like whatever. It's getting real strange how he was able to collect like 5 or 6 people and have them knocked out. I thought the woman was going to have a run for it, like make people have a run for their money because she's very tall. She looks very like she's ready to scrap. I thought I was going to see a fight versus her and Amanda, but like I said, you can't do nothing. She can't knock her out. She can't give her no black eye. She didn't have no black eye in 2. And it's literally right after it. It's literally right after, if I'm not mistaken. I know it's not between 2 and 3. I know it's not. And then some guys called talking about, oh, I need your services, like I need your help. Da-da-da-da. He was on the phone with either Hoffman, which would make no sense, or it was Dr. Gordon, which would make no sense because he helped him a little later. And yes, you could say it might have been, for all you know, you could say it was him because when it was from 2 to 3, there was a guy. I'm not even gonna argue. I'm just gonna I'm gonna just say what it is. So he got like 6 people. They're all in a room. They're all in a room together. First girl's got to cut both of her legs, in which I thought it was just one leg. She cut the one leg, and then it still did not stop the timer, which was like, okay, so how is she supposed to know what to do? A lot of the Um, the explanation for what they're supposed to do is very strange with this one, especially since how are you going to talk to these people and their second language might be English. There's some of these people are Hispanic because, like I said, wasn't this taking place in Mexico or whatever? Somewhere it was somewhere he couldn't. It was something that was illegal to do in America. So old dude got all these people, and for all like supposedly they looked up everything. They're just magical magicians. So not only is this man an architect and a builder, but he's also like a cybersecurity like genius, and he can find out anything about anybody. That's what we're supposed to believe. But John Kramer ain't no Mary Sue. Ain't nobody gonna talk about how John Kramer and Mary Sue. We ain't never gonna hear that. We ain't never gonna hear that story. But let's continue. So he gets Amanda, who he, like I said, at this point has put in like 2 or 3 traps, and she's about to go in another one after this. Like you think that if this happened in between 1 and 2, she wouldn't have need that trap in 2. Even though, oh, she's supposed to be part of the thing, is it? Like there's a lot of people who will make excuses for 2, but I can tell you that there's a lot of things wrong with 2, and that like there's just more problems now because you put this one Saw 10 that's supposed to be in between 1 and 2 if I'm not mistaken, maybe 2 and 3. Maybe 2 and 3. Like that's a very highly maybe in my opinion based on what everybody looked like, based on what's going on. 2, it don't make no sense if it was after 2 because he got beat up in 2. So why is he walking around like he got beat up in 2? He got beat to a pulp in 2. He is sitting on a bed in like 4 or 3. I can't remember which one it was, but he was sitting on a bed about to die. Like literally. He was sitting in somebody's car. He got beat up so bad at the end of 2. No way is this man's going to know Cancer Anonymous, and he got beat up. So this has to be between 1 and 2. I am like, there's no explanation that would make me think that, oh, this is not like it is. So, like I said, he got like 5 or 6 people here in one room, and he's walking around with Amanda, and she's like, "Ooh, y'all are gonna have to play by the rules." Yep, this is my home. This is my home slice. Like she literally pulling up like that. Like Amanda literally pulling up like that, and I love it because I love that actress. But he's like, "You guys are gonna have to play game." And then it's crazy because you're gonna confront them. You're gonna let them know that it's you. First of all, she's and then the doctor's like, "John, you don't want to do this. I want to help you. I want to help you." And he's like, is that what you think? Is that what you want to do? No, dude, you idiot, you stupid idiot. Everybody wants to leave. Nobody wants to be in no saw trap. Nobody wants to be in no saw trap. And also, I don't really know if this guy was super popular. Saw became a thing, like, oh my goodness, this is the Saw, this is the work of Jigsaw. After like a lot of the movies went by in that universe, a lot of there was a Saw Anonymous where everybody came when the survivors of his traps, because there were enough to where they could sit together and talk about it. No limbs, no eyeballs, but they still talking. They still alive. And somebody was like, I'd rather be dead, bro. Like, I would not want to, like, this is crazy. And it's like crazy for him to think that just because he takes somebody's eyeballs away that they like life. Like, he was suicidal. How you gonna do that? Like, you literally like a hypocrite. But he comes in and, like I said, he tells them that they got to do this, and then he leaves and leaves them to their own device. And this girl's got to cut her legs. She fails, she loses, gets decapitated. Next person, like I'm not gonna watch this movie over again. I'm not. I can't. It literally. I was like, what is this crap? They really make John Kramer out to be the hero here. They really make him out. And this is a little side note. This is a little side note because I have to bring this up because it won't make sense for the end when I talk about it. Before all this happened, he talked to a boy that didn't speak English, but all of a sudden he speaks English now. He didn't speak English because he's like, how do you say this? How do you say that? And just because you say something over and over again doesn't make anyone, like, if you're speaking a different language, if I say pamplemousse and you don't speak French, like if I keep saying pamplemousse, like no one's gonna, they're gonna be like, moose? You talk about moose? No, I'm not talking about moose. I'm not talking about moose. Just because I say something over and over again, John Kramer said something over and over again, and then he's like, "K?" Because he doesn't speak English. He doesn't understand English. And then he's gonna be like, pull, and that comes back later because he tells him, "Don't pull, no pull," whatever he said, however he said it in Spanish. But you cannot keep saying something and then somebody like, "Oh, I know exactly what you talk about," because it's not gonna sound the same. Some things sound the same. Some things sound very similar in other languages that are like blue and blue in French and in English is blue. You know what that is. But pamplemousse has nothing to do with mousse at all. At all. At all. So I don't understand how this boy who speaks, and then I can't talk about it. I just have to let you know that they have a little moment. John Kramer has a little moment with this boy, and it's very interesting because he was going to have a son, but he didn't. So this would have been very interesting if it wasn't just 2 seconds. It's literally 2 seconds of him being on the screen, and then it comes back later, and then it's like, oh, payoff. That's like that's like that's like story 101. Like you bring something in and then it pays off. But it's just like there was no build up. It was just like, okay, that happened. Next, everything else happens. And then at the very end, he comes back and then, oh, no poulet or whatever he said, whatever he got dang said. I don't remember. All I know is that boy didn't speak English. And then all of a sudden he speaks English and he listens to a girl that's speaking English later. But so he lets them do that. They start squealing and crying and da da da. You got to do this. And next dude has. I don't understand his thing. And how if I don't understand it and I'm not in no situation to where I'm tied to something and I got to do something, I got to kill myself in order to live. Like honestly, how's this dude gonna understand? So this dude's sitting. He's up in a thing and he's like, got to do surgery on himself. I don't understand. There's like a circuit breaker that he has to cut through his brain or something, and he's and on the tape it's like, I'm not playing that. He said he's not playing that tape. He gets electrocuted because John Kramer, like I said, mind you, old dude is in the next room watching. He came out to talk about it and tell he might as well have just stayed in the other room. Why did he come out if he was just gonna be in there? Why does he keep coming back? Like, you guys good? You guys need anything? Like, what? Why is he still in? Why did he even introduce himself? Why did Amanda and them? Why did they even do that? Why didn't they just walk in? Why didn't they just say, come on, I'm cured of cancer party. Come on in. It would have been easier than getting everybody in the middle of the night. I guess it wouldn't have been easier because this dude somehow all of a sudden, dude at the ripe age of 95 can grab anybody he wants and bring them somewhere. And yes, Amanda's with him. Yes. But like I said, this is 5 or 6 people we're talking about in one day because they you can't be asleep for like 6 days. You're gonna die. They all had to be asleep and awake at the same time. So like let's just do this make believe and say that Dr. Gordon, the dude who cut his foot off, is fine and well, like less than a month after he cut his leg off. He's not picking nobody up. The best he can do is tell his big boy, brother, somebody. I don't know, somebody. He got to call somebody. Who you gonna call? He had to call Ghostbusters or something to help him because what are you talking about? Dude at their age, like he's 96 years old. And then Amanda, it's just like, okay, Amanda's whatever. She was very spindly when she was younger. A little older, she looks a little different. She looks a little different. I'm fine. Like I told you, turn your brain off when you watch Saw. Turn your goddamn brain off because I had to in order to get any enjoyment from this. And like I said, so this dude has to like do surgery on himself, and he's like, I'm not listening to tape. He gets electrocuted. He has to listen to the tape, and then he keeps turning the tape off. And I'm like, dude, I'm trying to listen to the instructions, and you should too, because you got to figure this out. I don't think he understood the instructions either because he doesn't do what he needs to do. And I don't understand. You got to watch Saw 10 to help me understand that trap because I don't understand what he was supposed to do. Like, and like I said, if I don't understand what he's supposed to do, I know he didn't understand, and that don't make no sense, and that's not survivability, and that's him killing him because. And also, like I said, these people are like from Mexico. Some of them are. The other girl, she was like from Valadia or something. I don't know, not Valeria. No, that's not a real place. But she's from like Russia or the Ukraine. Like the way she be talking, she's from somewhere else. And she speaks English. That could be her third language or whatever, but these people are from Mexico. These people are Mexican. And then you're going to give them English. And then what if they don't understand everything in English? Like I know some French, but if I was in a saw trap and they were like, someone like, repeat s'il vous plaît, that's what I'd be saying. Like honestly, like what that, and then it's like, okay, whatever. Okay, let's just say they're Americanized and their first language was English. We can pretend like, let's just do make believe right now. We make believe. Dude didn't understand it because he died, and then the next girl is hung from one arm and one leg in the air, and there's this heat beam on her face, and it's just going to keep getting hotter until she dies, or until she breaks her legs and breaks her arm, which is crazy. This is like the craziest trap. Like, how you get her up like that? Like, but whatever. So the every time the people are like, and also this girl, I forgot to tell you about this. This is how I knew she was going to live. That Ukrainian doctor or whatever, she grabs a hold of the girl whose head was decapitated, goes into her stomach and gets her stomach innards and says, "We have a rope." And she grabs the rope and gets the stuff because there's someone's phone in the middle of the room and she couldn't reach it because she's not supposed to leave wherever she is or she'll die or whatever. Like I said, it's not clear. It's not clear. How are you going to expect someone to live and you don't explain everything to them? She started somewhere. She's like, I ain't leaving this spot. In my opinion, I feel like this was the least thought through movie out of all of them, and they're very poorly thought through. Some of them are pretty bad, and one of them is from the Book of Saw Spiral. But she gets the innards of this girl and gets the phone, and she says, help, I've been kidnapped by some crazy, and then she gets electrocuted because I guess that's not a part of the game, even though he didn't explain, hey, you can't get on your phone. That's not against the rule. Simon didn't say you could be on your phone. He's just making up arbitrary rules as we go. As we go. It's one thing to be like, all right, here's the rules. But he didn't say here the rules. There was no da rules. Like, there was just, you can't do nothing that he doesn't want you to do. That's the rule. Like, that doesn't make any sense. And then for anyone to be like, yeah, oh my gosh, he's, like I said, I jokingly say he had a point. And like I said, he had a point with anti-capitalism, industrial, like prison complex and all that. And then even that is like, he still doesn't understand. Like I said, he becomes the thing he hates because he treats people who are criminals worse than like anything. But I digress with that. So she gets the rope and da da da. She calls, and we don't know who she calls. She doesn't say a name or anything. She just calls what you should have called 911 and let that thing stay on. I don't know why you didn't turn that. And then 911, what's your emergency? When they say what's your emergency, they're already trying to track you. I know he didn't have no jammers like Batman up in there. I know he didn't. I know he didn't, because this is two. This is two. And also, it's like, where he get that money from? Well, you'll see. You'll goddamn see where he got that money from. So she gets electrocuted, and then Amanda comes out. I think, because like I said, I'm not gonna watch this movie again. I just remember some things that happened. Maybe I'm getting it mixed up with stuff, but to my recollection, she comes out talking about, you can't be doing that. And then she grabs the girl and the guts and leaves. They're in the next room. They are in the next room. That's the only reason why. And it's just like, why are they in the next room? And then they already showed their hand. And it's funny because she admits that he's like, y'all showed your hand. Why'd you even tell us you were here? She literally in their face, like, why you even do this? But let's get out of that. So a dude all of a sudden somehow, like, they're Pikachu shocked when somebody's at the door because she called somebody. And it's just like, how did he even find her? He looks like Kano. Kano from, or even the dude from The Boys, that guy from The Boys that reminds you of Kano from Mortal Kombat without the eye. That's what he reminds me of. So I'm gonna just call him Kano, or dude from The Boys, because I don't remember his name. He pulls up and he's talking about, where's my money, B? Where my money at? So John Kramer thinks it's a guy who was duped like he was. And like I said a long time ago, when I was talking to my mom about this, because we watched it together, I was like, did you see John Kramer give him a dime? Did you see John Kramer give her a dime for the services? I thought she was like, okay, look, I'll da da da, but it didn't show John Kramer giving her any money. So I thought that she did this out of the kindness of her heart. I thought it was like placebo effect, like, okay, we do this to people and maybe they think that they're better, so they are better, because some people will get a diagnosis and then just like they'll get worse before anything, because they're like, oh my gosh, in their mind. Like, mind is a very powerful thing, and I'm not saying that you can will cancer out of your brain, but what I'm saying is, like, the placebo effect has worked with other things. So I thought that's what her mind was at, even though I'm not saying that that's a rational thing to do. What I'm saying is, I thought that's what the thing was, but of course it's not, because at the end I'll let you know what happens. Takes the guts, so they don't have rope no more. And I can't remember which happens first, where the girl's up in the air. But like I said, this is where we're at. So she's up in the air with one of her arms and her leg like this. Is crazy. It looked real crazy, real strange. And there's heat on her face, and she's got to break her leg and break her arm to get out. And old girl, she was about to swing, and she's like, "Oh, don't do that." The girl from Ukraine, she's like, "Oh, do your leg first so you can swing." And then she does her leg, she does her arm, she survives. She survives. And old dude, because what's his face? He grabs him. This is all while this is happening. John Kramer and Amanda grab this guy. He got a gun. He got a gun. It looks like there's a dude with the pig mask, and that's John Kramer's thing. He likes to give people's pig masks because he was like born in the year of the pig, or his son was going to be born in the year of pig, or something about pigs. All I know is it also has to do with anti-cop, anti-industry. It all makes sense to that effect. But like I said, we lost our way somehow, and people who started making the Saw movies don't understand Saw, and they don't understand what it was truly about. So we get this garbage. So there's a pig guy in front of him. He shoots 3 bullets, and I'm thinking remember 3 bullets, because you can only have so many bullets in a small handgun. And usually in movies like this, they try to make it seem very realistic, but it doesn't really come up again with that, because it's like, I know there weren't just 3 bullets in there. I know it wasn't looking like that. It had to be like at least 5. But I'm not no arms dealer. I'm not no arms man. Like, I don't know anything about that. I just play Apex Legends and Call of Duty. So they get the guy who looks like Kano, or the guy from The Boys, and they tie him up, and he's like, he looks at what's going on, and he's like, "I just want my money back. She robbed me, da 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 da." And um the funniest thing is, watching back, it kind of like, it's very strange. Like, you watch it and then you watch this, and it's like, oh, I get what you're talking about. I can't really explain it till the end. So he looks at the cameras because they are watching in the other room. Like, this is Five Nights at Freddy's style. And he's looking at, he's like, very interesting. Very interesting. You got these people up. You got them. And he was like, you ready to play a game? He's like, I'm listening. What's the rules to this game? He's literally like, all right, because he's like, he sees that a girl is decapitated on the floor, and old girl that is, we will know his connection to her soon. But as of right now, he's one of the guys who got scammed, and he was like, "Oh, look right here. Look, this is where they said that they took the cancer on. It's still there." And John's like, "You're one of us. You are one of the victims. So you got to play by the rules, and the rule is no gun." So they took his gun away. They took his gun away, and he's like, "Okay, that's fine." And he's like, "You got to watch it." And he watches the whole situation, and then they let him leave. They're like, "You can leave. Bye. We got your money," because they stole, this is off topic, but they stole the money, which is crazy how she had the money to where it could be stolen. But straight up, they take the money. Amanda and John took the money from the Ukrainian, or whatever her name is, whatever she is, doctor. And he is like looking for it. He told them where it was. He said it was upstairs. He's like, "I got your money. It's upstairs." And they let him go, but he actually, plot twist, comes back with the gun, talking about, uh-uh, nah. Nah, you ain't about to do this. And I like, that's like any reasonable person. Actually, it's not really reasonable. Because you know what would be reasonable? Him shooting them both in the head. But that, like, anything else other than that is irrational to me. How are you going to have this man at gunpoint and then not shoot him? You know why? Because this is a prequel, and we know that Amanda's alive by 2, and so is John Kramer. So, like I said, that's another problem with prequels. It's very hard to. It's like House of the Dragon was really good. Not actually, House of the Dragon's really trash. It's actually very terrible, but it was really good in the sense of a prequel to Game of Thrones, because it's not about Jon Snow. It's not about anybody that we already know the fate of. It, like, why do we care about Eddard Stark when his head got decapitated? Like, why would you do a prequel about them when we don't care? It was like 100 or 200 years before all that happened. And basically, back to Saw 10. He's got them at gunpoint. He puts them in there and he's like, we getting out of here because you trash, you scum. And she's like, the doctor is like, oh, you really thought I cared about any of those people? And he's like, this woman needs to take, like, this is where I stopped. Like, it was so hard to take this movie seriously from the very get-go, from the jump, 21 Jump Street. But this is when I literally was like, I gotta go to sleep. This is when I turned off the movie. This is when I turned off the movie and I was like, let me watch this tomorrow. When John Kramer, remember when I told you that girl had the heat on her face and she had one arm up there and one leg up there, she had to break them to get down? She survived her game. She was alive. John Kramer's talking about this woman needs a doctor. Like she just, like, he just found her in the back alley somewhere and he was a good Samaritan and said that she needed to go to the doctor, and he's just some feeble old man that can't do nothing. That's how it went. This man is the one that brought her there. This man is the one that put her in that situation. And the funniest thing is she's one of the only people that she probably didn't know that it was a scam. She was not a doctor. But it's what it is, what it is. It is whatever, like, he's got to get his fix. He's got to kill somebody, I guess. He, like I said, he is a monster. Like no other movie makes him seem like he is the rational person. But just like in Orphan First Kill, they try to give someone that was crazier than Esther to make us feel sorry for her. And you could have made me feel sorry for, you made me feel sorry for Esther when she was in the first one, because it's like, that's sad to be like, you a child forever, like you a vampire, but you gonna die anyway. But this guy, he's like, I can't believe you, monster. He John Kramer's like, you monster, she needs a doctor. And then they make her worse because she steps on her and breaks her neck. You know what's funny? You know what's hilarious? She's still not worse. She's still not worse. She put that girl out of her misery. Like, like, if we are literally like, you cannot, like, you heard of apples and oranges, right? Well, I'm gonna bring you into the apples and horse meat. You can't compare apples and horse meat. You just can't. It simply doesn't make sense. So how you gonna tell me that John Kramer is supposed to be the good guy in all this? Talk about she need a doctor. She wouldn't have need no doctor if you would have just left her, the freak, alone. But Amanda's like, no, she's in it. Like I told you, I love this actress. I don't care how hammy, how cheesy. I'm gonna eat that ham and cheese sandwich. I'm gonna eat it because I love this actress. I don't know nothing about her. I don't know nothing about her politics. I just know that she's amazing as Amanda. But she's like, no, you can't do this. This is against the rules. Which is like so funny that she's high standing about against the rules when she, even in this movie, it shows that she does not have any sympathy for anybody that is in the trap. She's always made the traps not winnable. So how are you gonna talk about it's against the rules and be all sad and stuff? No. Anyway, so girl and that guy, turns out Kano and her are in a relationship. Obviously, she called somebody and then he's there now all of a sudden. What are the odds? And then it makes it seem like John is stupid, but in the end, he turns out in a what a twist, he knew that they were together and he knew everything about everybody somehow. Like I said, like like I guess he works for the CIA. I guess so, because he knows everything about everybody. So she's like, where's the money? Give me the money. Oh yeah, I'm gonna put you in a trap. She put Amanda in a trap, and then she put John in a trap. But Amanda's trap wasn't going off because each one of them are different. He put she put him in a trap, and she was like, oh, she looked on the cameras outside because there's a camera outside where the guy was banging on the talk about where my money at, like literally. What is the male version of Mary Sue? The male version of Mary Sue, I hate that people have a male version because it's like they made this thing up that never existed. There was no such thing as a Mary Sue. They were just main characters that were either written very well or written very poorly, and they just didn't like it. and they call male versions of Mary Sue Mary Stu. When you put that on us, we're gonna put it on you. I will never call a male version of a Mary Sue Mary Stu. I will always call them a Mary Sue, because you're not gonna masculinize something that you've already made to degrade us. It's like, nah, fam. That's not how it works. So to me, I feel like John Kramer is super Mary Sue. If it wasn't against my religion, because like I said, I don't believe in Mary Sue. It's against my religion. I can't. I just simply cannot. I can't do it, because it's just gross. It's just gross. It just don't make no sense. Like all the examples of a Mary Sue, they're just main characters that do anything other than be damsels and get killed. That's it. That's it. It's like, and I saw someone talk about how Tandero. I'm not even gonna get into it. I'm not even gonna get into it. I'm just gonna yeah, they're either OP, or they're written well, or they're written terrible. And it's just like, I've been watching Jujutsu Kaisen, and funny enough, how y'all gonna talk about there's Mary Sue's everywhere when Gojo is literally a Mary Sue. Gojo is a Mary Sue. And I'm gonna say that one more time for people in the back. Gojo is a Mary Sue. And that I'm done talking about it. We're gonna talk about Soft 10. So she looks on the cameras and sees that the little boy that John Kramer bonded with for literally like 5 seconds was outside banging on the door with the ball, and she's like, I got this boy. She goes outside, speaks English to him, and brings him inside. And the moment he sees John Kramer stuck in a trap, and so is Amanda, and he looks for 2 seconds and doesn't say nothing, and he's like, I'm out of there. And she grabs him and is like, that's what you do. You don't be asking questions. I don't know why you went with that white woman, but whatever. This Hispanic boy gets snatched up, put in a trap. She doesn't know anything about what the traps do. She doesn't know nothing about nothing, but somehow she knows how to rig them up and put them in the trap, because she has yet to see this trap go off. And it's got blood. It's like blood. It's like waterboarding with blood. And it's on John. And for him to save his own life, he would have to push the lever towards the boy so that the boy would get the blood on his face and die. So we already know that John does not die. So I don't know why they did this. Like I said, it's like, if you're gonna do a prequel, you've got to like actually think this through. You can't just think about money. You can't think like that. You got to think actually, okay, how is this gonna work in universe? Because this does not make no sense. I don't care that he's in this trap, because I already know he doesn't die. I already know he doesn't get slashed. I already know he doesn't lose a foot. I already know he doesn't lose an eye. I know he doesn't lose anything, because he's got everything in the next one. So this means nothing to me. So while that's happening, she's up there trying to get the money or whatever, and her and him are upstairs trying to get the money, and then the doors close, and it's like dun 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 dun, and then the gas starts coming in there. They can't breathe or whatever. So there's this hole that you can put your head in, and you gotta like keep your head there, and only one person can be there at a time. Which I don't know. I would personally try to put two heads in there. I would personally try. The least you can do is try. But they start fighting, and in the middle of all this, it's just showing 2 seconds ago, Amanda was talking about, she's gonna kill you, right? You can't do this. This is the thing that was ridiculous. This is when I literally did Squidward and took my brain out of my head and threw it in the trash. Because how are you going to do this thing? Because in every saw, when I tell you every saw, this is their staple. It'll show, oh, this is what it was the whole time. And it'll show little hints that'll show you that you could have figured this out by now if you thought about it and you really looked. In hindsight, watching it over again, it's kind of cool to watch it over again and see all the keys to what, like, here's an example of what I mean if you don't understand. In Saw 2, there's a cop, and he has a son who is in a trap, and he's watching it as if he thought it was live. He thought it was a live thing, and turns out it was actually a tape. John Kramer told that cop that his son was in a safe place. In the end of the movie, the boy is found in a literal safe. That is what was cool about the thing. Not this garbage where he's like blood's getting on his face, and it's like, okay, dude, you literally break people apart into pieces. Like, I don't know. But so they're in there and they're fighting each other. She ends up killing him and getting the air and having her head out the air pocket. And John is just looking up at her. And so is what's her face. They're both getting themselves out of the trap somehow. I don't know where they can get, like, they get themselves out of the trap somehow. I guess it's because, oh, we knew all this was going to happen. So we got the key in our pockets. How could you have possibly known that? You've got cancer on the brain. How do you have all this time to think about everything? I don't know. I don't know. We just had, like I said, you just got to throw your brain out the window when you're watching these movies. But it was never this bad. It was never this convoluted. Like the first one was okay. Second one, little less okay, but it was still good. Third one, convoluted, third and on. Third and on. And like I said, I didn't really watch all of three, but I know that there was a lot of it that did not need to happen. And even in three, there was that thing where it was like, all you got to do is this and that, and you could have figured that out if you did this. That's what that is. This crap is just, he had to be a fortune teller. So like, let's go down things of what John Kramer is. He's an architect. He's the builder of said architectural projects. He's a fortune teller. He's Hulk Hogan. He can lift anyone. He can, and there's also time jumps to where it shows what he did to Hoffman. And if you want to know who Hoffman is, you got to watch the movies. He actually captured Hoffman, and Hoffman he's not no pipsqueak. Out of almost every person in this show, movie, whatever, he's one of the biggest, and not biggest as in fat or anything, but just burliest. And John, we're supposed to think that John just grabbed him by himself. And there are times where it shows Amanda helping him and other people. But like that instance in particular is crazy. So old girl has her head in the thing and she's like, John. And she's like looking and they just leave, right? And what's it called? The little boy, they get the money, by the way, mind you. He gives the money to the little boy and he's like, gracias. Like, so first of all, like this is like the ninth of all. This is actually like the ninth of all. This boy we're supposed to believe that he doesn't speak English. And then we're supposed to believe, like, is this money? Is this like their money? Is this pesos? Or is this American money? Because like half of the movie I can barely see. Y'all got to stop doing this. It's not my fault. It's not my 4K TV. That's the problem. I should be able to watch any movie and be able to see it. If I have to turn the lights off, okay, whatever, honestly. But like even with the lights off, you can barely see anything in certain parts of the movie. So I couldn't tell if that was pesos or dollars that they gave him. What is he going to do with a dollar? And you can be like, okay, let's just say, oh, people take dollars in Mexico. How long ago is this? And also, like, how is he supposed to know the conversions are? He's a little boy. And also, I thought they were going to keep the money and then explain why and how John Kramer was able to afford building so many monuments that are just for torturing people. I thought he was going to keep the money, but he gave it to the little boy. So it doesn't even explain where he got the money from. That would have been great to include. Maybe he took some. Because in the thing where she goes to look for the money, it shows in accounts where it was moved. So maybe he took some of it and he gave the boy some of the rest of it. And now he's using that. But the worst offense of this movie is the final ending shot. When Amanda is in tandem with John Kramer and then the baby, like, and then the son is, or not the son, but like the little boy where's your mama? Where's your daddy? Where your family at? Was it one of them who died in there? We will never know. All we know is that boy was like, gracias, give me that money. When he doesn't know the conversions, he doesn't know where to go. He's about to get robbed on the way home. He's got a bag full of money. It's just like, have you played Resident Evil 2 remake where Ashley and Leon's on one side and Claire's on the other, and then Ashley they swinging her and stuff, like it's like yay, even though your parents just died. That's basically what was the end. They walked into the sunset. Those two monsters walked into the sunset with that little boy holding money that he has no idea how to convert to his money. And let's just say in make believe world, okay, he's not from Mexico, he's from America, and he knows what American money is, and he knows the conversions. He's gonna get robbed on the way home. He's got that money still out open. He didn't even zip it up and put it on his back or no nothing. He just got it all open and out. And are they gonna escort him home? Is he gonna tell his mom, yeah, I just killed people and here's the money? How is he gonna explain that? His mom's gonna think that he was doing like a drug deal or something, or he stole it or something. How do you explain that? They don't care. That's the end of the movie. That's the end. And if there was like an ending credit scene, I don't know, because I was so done. When I saw it said Saw 10, I was like, that means I don't have to watch this no more. Because it's over. How are you? And then the craziest thing, they walk into the sunset and the music is so nice. It's so nice. It's like ding, 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 ding. Like what? He just killed like 6 people. He just killed like 6 people. How is this a happy ending? And then, mind you, like I said, if this is where I think it is, between 1 and 2, that means not only is Amanda about to get put back into another game, but John is also he doesn't learn anything. The problem with prequels is how can you have someone learn a lesson and then it mean nothing because the next one happens? He is still heck bent on giving his justice to the world. And it just don't make no sense how we're supposed to sit there and watch him go into the sunset with this little boy and give him that money that he's supposed to explain to his mama where he got it from. He don't even speak the language because you can't tell me that he knows English. But funny enough, he understands English enough to go with some white woman that asks him to go for her to go, like them to go together, and she's speaking English. And then he speaks English to him. And just gives him like he don't know nothing, but he know that money in there. He know that money. It wouldn't have been so offensive. It wouldn't have been so offensive if the ending credits song was that Zepp song, that dun 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 dun, because he's about to go kill again. He's about to go kill again. That don't make no sense. Please let me know what you guys think. Have you watched Saw? Have you watched Saw 10? Have you watched Saw 1 through 10 billion? Because there's so many movies. The worst movie still, even after watching that garbage. Even after watching that garbage, is still Spiral. It still is. But now I get to just know that for a fact. It still is. I'm so sorry. Like Chris Rock is a terrible actor. He should never have been put into Hollywood ever. He took a spot from someone that deserved it. That was crazy. The book of Saw Spiral was very terrible. And even the whole retcon thing where he's like, oh, yeah, that's no. Mm-mm. Funny enough, the practicality of it in the beginning it made it look more real. But as CGI, as they switch with CGI and stuff back and forth, trying to make it look younger, trying to make this guy look younger, trying to make Amanda look younger when she's like 20 years old or whatever. It's not hitting on nothing. And Hoffman not being there, I really don't care. Maybe he was on the phone with him. I don't care. I don't. I only cared about Gordon. I only cared about Gordon because I thought that it was cool that he came back. That was it. That was it. So I just watched the post-credit scene of Saw 10, and it shows that Hoffman was there and he actually was helping John Kramer during this time. So like I said, it makes a little bit more sense that he was able to get 6 or so people, but it still doesn't make sense as to how, oh, he knew all this stuff. Oh, he's a police officer. He knows everything. And like, honestly, come on, like, can we get real? Can we get real for a second? Honestly, it's not explained by him being there completely. It just, maybe 30% it explains. What about the rest of the 70? What about the rest of the 70%? Like, so no, just because Hoffman was helping him, because that's crazy. That's very interesting. And it also, when it comes to the people who know Saw lore, um, the Dr. Gordon, if he was helping him since two, because he was the one that got that guy, put his, the eye guy or whatever, get the, key in his eye. Why didn't he just help him take his cancer out? Why did he need that girl in three? I think it was in three, if I'm not mistaken, in three with the shotgun necklace. Why did he need her if he already had Gordon? Are they not the same like type of doctor? Oh, that explains it. Y'all are gonna say something crazy because you just want to defend this. It is what it is. I'm just here to say I made a mistake. Hoffman is in this movie. So when I talk about him not being in the movie, he actually is. He's just in the post-credit scene. But I got up and I was done with the movie because when John Kramer walks into the sunset with a little boy and the money that was supposed to explain how he did everything, I'm sitting here like, what you talk about, Willis? Because like he gave that money away, first of all, and then above everything, he's going to sit there with Hoffman at the end with the black guy who said, oh, this is my battle scar. The one that actually got him to go to Mexico and talk to these people of the scammers. So he's a part of the scam, I guess. And they just so happen to be in the bathroom where Gordon was and that photographer that I discussed in my live. And they're in the same bathroom and dude's still on the floor or whatever. And black dude that, treated him poorly and got him into this whole scam doesn't have a scar anymore. So he's like gonna make a scar with the freaking goddamn machine he's got that Hoffman created, I guess. This man was a cop. He was not making nothing. How you gonna teach this dude what took your whole life to figure out in a matter of months before you die?